My beloved brothers and sisters, let me ask you something very personal. Have you ever reached a point in your life where the pain felt so heavy that you quietly asked yourself, why is this happening to me? You tried to be patient, you tried to stay strong, you even tried to make sense of it, but nothing seemed to explain the weight you were carrying. Some nights you lay awake, not because you wanted answers, but because your heart was too tired to rest. You smiled during the day, but inside you felt broken in ways no one could see. And sometimes the most painful part was not the hardship itself, but the silence that followed it. Today, I want you to hear this clearly and hold on to it with your heart. Allah never brings pain without purpose. Not the pain that made you cry alone, not the pain that changed you, not the pain that made you question everything you thought you understood. There is wisdom in it, even if you cannot see it yet. And if you stay with me until the end, you may begin to understand why the hardest moments of your life were never meant to destroy you, but to shape you. Pain is never random in the plan of Allah. My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the most dangerous thoughts that enters the heart during hardship is the belief that pain comes without meaning. When something hurts deeply, we assume it is chaos, punishment, or abandonment. But Allah does nothing without wisdom. Nothing reaches your life by accident, and nothing touches your heart without purpose. Pain often arrives not to break you, but to awaken you. Comfort can make the heart forgetful, but difficulty brings awareness. When life is easy, we move forward without reflection. When hardship comes, the heart pauses, reflects, and turns sincerely toward its Creator. That pause is not weakness, it is growth. Understand this clearly. Not every hardship is because you did something wrong. Some trials come because Allah knows you can carry them and grow through them. Pain reveals strength you never knew you had. It teaches humility, patience, and reliance in ways ease never could. If you look back honestly, the moments that shaped you the most were not the comfortable ones. They were the moments that forced you to change, to mature, and to rely more deeply. That transformation did not happen randomly. It came through hardship. So when pain enters your life, do not rush to see it as meaningless. Remind your heart that Allah does not waste tears, struggles, or moments of difficulty. Even if you do not understand it now, this pain exists for a reason, and that reason is tied to who you are becoming. Some pain is mercy disguised as loss. One of the hardest truths for the heart to accept is that some pain is not meant to hurt you, but to protect you. When something is taken away, when a door closes, when a person leaves your life, the heart immediately interprets it as loss. You grieve what could have been. You replay memories. You question why it had to end the way it did. But what if that pain was not cruelty? What if it was mercy wearing a disguise? There are things we hold on to that quietly harm us, relationships that drain us, paths that delay our growth, attachments that feel comforting but slowly weaken our faith and clarity. If those things remained, they would have damaged us in ways we could not see at the time. So they were removed. And the removal hurt because the heart does not always understand what the soul needs. Allah reminds us of this reality when He says, perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you do not know. This verse is not just a reminder, it is a lens through which pain must be viewed. What you dislike today may one day be the very reason you are safe, stronger, and closer to peace. At the moment of loss, clarity is rare. Pain clouds vision. Emotions speak louder than wisdom. But time reveals what emotions hide. With distance, you begin to see what you were protected from. You notice how your heart feels lighter, how your path becomes clearer, how your faith grows steadier. You realize that what you were begging to keep would have held you back from where you needed to go. This does not mean the pain was imaginary. It was real. The tears were real. The loneliness was real. But the purpose behind it was also real. Protection does not always feel gentle. Sometimes it feels like heartbreak. Sometimes it feels like disappointment. Sometimes it feels like loss. But mercy does not always arrive in the form we expect. So if something was removed from your life and it hurt deeply, do not rush to label it as punishment. Sit with the possibility that you were being protected in ways you could not yet understand. Trust that Allah sees the full picture while you only see one moment of it. And believe even when it is difficult, that some pain enters your life not to destroy you, but to save you. Pain rebuilds you from the inside before life changes outside. One of the most overlooked truths about pain is that Allah often uses it to change who you are before. He changes what surrounds you. We are usually focused on external relief. We want the situation to improve, the hardship to end, the difficulty to disappear. But Allah, in His wisdom, knows that lasting peace does not come from a changed situation alone. It comes from a changed heart, a strengthened mindset, and a refined character. And pain is one of the most powerful tools for that transformation. When life is comfortable, the heart remains soft but untested. It believes it is strong, but it has not yet been challenged. Pain tests what comfort never could. It reveals how you respond when expectations collapse, when support disappears, and when answers are delayed. In those moments, something begins to form within you. Patience deepens, awareness sharpens, reliance becomes real rather than theoretical. Allah reminds us of this reality when He says, Allah does not change the condition of a people until they change what is within themselves. This verse carries immense depth. It teaches us that before external change arrives, internal change must take place. Pain often initiates that inner transformation. It forces you to confront fears you avoided, habits you ignored, and weaknesses you never addressed. And while this process is uncomfortable, it is also necessary. You may not realize it while you are hurting, but pain is teaching you discipline over emotions. It is teaching you restraint instead of reaction. It is teaching you how to stand without applause, how to endure without validation, and how to trust without immediate reassurance. These qualities are not built in moments of ease. They are forged through struggle. Think about how pain has already changed you. You are more careful with your words, more selective with your attachments, more aware of what truly matters. You no longer chase everything that sparkles. You no longer trust blindly. This is not hardness of heart. This is wisdom being formed. Allah is refining you so that when blessings come, you are mature enough to carry them without losing yourself. Pain also rebuilds your relationship with time. You learn that not everything happens instantly. You learn to wait without panic. You learn to sit with discomfort without falling apart. And in that waiting, your faith becomes steadier. You stop demanding answers and begin trusting the process. That shift alone is a sign of growth. Sometimes Allah delays relief because if it came too early, you would return to the same patterns, the same attachments, the same mindset that led you to pain in the first place. So the heart must be reshaped first. The inside must be strengthened before the outside is restored. This is not cruelty, this is care. If you are in pain right now, do not underestimate what is happening within you. Even if your situation looks unchanged, even if the difficulty remains, something inside you is being rebuilt quietly. Strength is forming, perspective is shifting, faith is deepening. And when the time is right, when the inner work is complete, the external change will follow. Trust this process. Pain is not only something you survive, it is something that prepares you. Pain teaches you dependence when control fails. My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the most difficult lessons for the human heart to accept is that control is an illusion. We plan, we organize, we calculate, and we convince ourselves that if we do everything right, life will follow our expectations. And for a time, it may seem that way. But then pain arrives, unexpected and uninvited, and suddenly everything you thought you had control over begins to slip from your hands. This is where pain becomes a teacher. Not a gentle one, but an honest one. Pain teaches you the limits of your own strength. It shows you where your ability ends and where dependence must begin. And while the ego resists this lesson fiercely, the soul benefits from it deeply. When things are going well, it is easy to rely on yourself. You rely on your plans, your resources, your connections, your confidence. But when hardship comes, those supports often fail you one by one. The plan does not work. The people cannot help. The strength runs out. And in that moment, you are faced with a choice. Either you collapse under the weight of what you cannot control, or you learn to place that weight where it truly belongs. Allah allows pain to reach us because he knows that without it, many hearts would never truly learn reliance. We may speak about trust, but pain is what teaches it. We may talk about surrender, but pain is what demands it. When you reach a point where you realize that you cannot fix everything, you finally begin to understand what it means to depend. Allah reminds us of this reality when He tells us, and whoever places their trust in Allah, then He is sufficient for them. This verse is not meant for moments of comfort alone. It is meant for moments when you feel overwhelmed, uncertain, and exhausted. It is meant for moments when you have done everything you could, and it still was not enough. Pain strips away false confidence. It humbles the heart. It teaches you that asking for help is not weakness, and that relying on Allah is not surrendering responsibility, but recognizing reality. There is a deep peace that comes when the heart finally stops fighting what it cannot control and starts trusting the one who controls everything. In these moments, your prayers change. They become less about demands and more about honesty. You stop pretending to be strong and you start speaking from a place of need. You begin to understand that dependence is not humiliation, it is honor. To depend on Allah is to acknowledge His power and your humanity. Pain also teaches you patience with outcomes. When control is taken from you, you learn to wait, not because you want to, but because you must. And in that waiting, something within you softens. You become less reactive, less anxious, less desperate to force results. You begin to accept that some things unfold only in their appointed time. This lesson is uncomfortable because it challenges pride. The heart wants control because control feels safe. But true safety does not come from control. It comes from trust. And trust is only learned when control is removed. Many people discover their strongest connection with Allah during moments when they felt the weakest, when nothing else worked, when no solution appeared, when the road ahead was unclear. That is not coincidence. That is the heart being guided back to where it belongs. If you are experiencing pain that makes you feel powerless, do not assume it means you are failing. It may be that you are being taught one of the most important lessons of faith: to rely without conditions, to trust without guarantees, to surrender without fear. This does not mean you stop trying. It means you stop carrying what was never meant for your shoulders alone. You continue to take steps, but you release the burden of outcomes. You act with responsibility, but you trust with humility. And slowly, quietly, something changes inside you. The fear eases, the panic softens, the heart finds rest, not because the situation is fixed, but because dependence has been learnt. That is the gift hidden within pain. Pain teaches you that you were never meant to walk alone, carry alone, or endure alone. And when that lesson settles in the heart, peace begins to grow even before relief arrives. Pain purifies the heart and realigns your direction. My beloved brothers and sisters, there is a reality about pain that many people overlook, and that is the way it purifies the heart. Just as water cleans what is visible on the surface, hardship cleans what lies deep within. Pain has a way of washing away arrogance, false attachments, unhealthy dependence, and misplaced priorities. It leaves the heart exposed, vulnerable, and honest, and in that vulnerability, sincerity is born. When life is easy, the heart often becomes crowded with distractions, expectations, comparisons, and desires that slowly pull it away from what truly matters. We chase things thinking they will bring peace, yet peace remains distant. Pain enters not to punish but to clear space. It removes what does not belong. It strips away what distracts. And while this process feels uncomfortable, it is deeply necessary. Many people discover during hardship that they were carrying things they were never meant to carry. Expectations of others, guilt that was not theirs, pressure to be everything for everyone. Pain forces the heart to put some of these burdens down. It teaches you that you cannot please everyone, save everyone, or control everything. And this realization, though painful at first, brings freedom. Pain also has a way of correcting direction. Sometimes we walk confidently on paths that feel right but slowly drain us. We ignore warning signs because the path is familiar or emotionally comfortable. When pain arrives, it often acts as a signal that something must change: a mindset, a habit, a relationship, a goal. And although change feels frightening, staying the same would have been far more damaging. During pain, you begin to question things you once accepted without thought. You ask yourself why you are doing what you are doing and who you are doing it for. You become more aware of what aligns with your values and what quietly contradicts them. This clarity does not come from comfort. It comes from discomfort that forces honesty. Pain also softens the heart toward others. When you suffer, you become more aware of the struggles people carry silently. You listen differently. You judge less quickly. You speak with more care. Hardship teaches compassion in ways success never could. It humbles you, reminding you that everyone is fighting something, even if they hide it well. Another powerful effect of pain is that it realigns your relationship with success and failure. You stop measuring life only by outcomes. You begin to value effort, intention, and growth. You understand that progress is not always visible and that sometimes surviving is an achievement on its own. This shift in perspective protects the heart from constant disappointment and comparison. Pain also teaches you boundaries. You learn where to stop giving, when to step back, and how to protect your energy without guilt. You realize that not everyone deserves access to your heart, and that saying no can be an act of wisdom rather than selfishness. This awareness does not harden you, it strengthens you. And my brothers and sisters, one of the most profound changes pain brings is sincerity in worship. When everything is stripped away, the heart turns to Allah without pretense. There is no performance, no formality, just honesty. You speak as you are, broken, tired, hopeful, afraid. And that sincerity is beloved. Pain removes pride from worship and replaces it with truth. Sometimes Allah allows pain to stay longer than we expect because the purification is not yet complete. There are layers within the heart that need time, habits that require patience to change, attachments that must loosen slowly. And while waiting is difficult, it is often during this waiting that the deepest transformation occurs. If you are in pain right now, do not underestimate what is happening inside you. Even if you feel lost, something within you is being aligned. Even if you feel delayed, something within you is being prepared. Even if you feel empty, space is being made for something better. Pain is not just something you endure, it is something that reshapes you. It clears the heart, corrects the path, softens the soul, and prepares you for a future that requires a stronger, wiser version of yourself. And when this process is complete, you may look back and realize that the pain you feared was actually the turning point you needed. Pain does not last forever, but what it builds does. One of the most difficult lies pain whispers to the heart is this, that it will never end. When hardship stretches longer than expected, when relief feels delayed, the mind begins to believe that this suffering is permanent. Days blur into weeks, weeks into months, and the heart grows tired not just from pain, but from waiting. But understand this clearly and hold it firmly. Pain is temporary, even when it feels endless, but the strength it builds within you remains. Allah did not create hardship to trap you inside it. Difficulty is not a destination, it is a passage. No season stays forever, even if it stays longer than you hoped. The night may feel long, but morning is never cancelled. The delay of relief does not mean denial. Often it means preparation is still taking place. There are moments when Allah allows pain to remain because if it were removed too quickly, the heart would return unchanged. Habits would remain the same. Attachments would reform. Lessons would be forgotten. So the trial stays not as punishment, but as completion. Completion of patience, completion of growth, completion of understanding. Think about how pain has already changed your reaction to life. You no longer panic the way you once did. You no longer react as quickly or as blindly. You have learned restraint. You have learned silence. You have learned how to sit with discomfort without falling apart. These qualities did not appear overnight. They were built slowly, quietly, through endurance. One of the most beautiful things pain teaches is hope that does not depend on circumstances. At the beginning of hardship, hope is tied to change. You hope things improve quickly. You hope the situation ends. But as pain continues, hope matures. It becomes less about timing and more about trust. You learn to hope not because you see relief, but because you believe in wisdom. That kind of hope is powerful. It cannot be shaken easily. Pain also teaches patience that is not passive. This is important. Patience does not mean doing nothing. It means continuing forward without losing faith. It means showing up even when motivation is low. It means choosing dignity over despair. And every time you do that, something within you strengthens. Many people think patience means silence, but patience is actually resilience. It is the ability to keep your heart soft while life is hard. It is the decision to trust even when clarity is absent. And this type of patience cannot be built in moments of ease. It requires time. It requires struggle. There will come a day, my brothers and sisters, when you will look back at this period of your life with different eyes. The pain will not feel as sharp. The fear will not feel as heavy. You will remember how close you came to giving up and how you somehow kept going anyway. And in that moment, you will realize that this hardship did not define you, but it refined you. Relief often arrives quietly, not as a dramatic change, but as a gradual lightening of the heart. You wake up one day and realize you are breathing easier. You notice that what once overwhelmed you no longer has the same power. Peace does not rush in loudly. It settles gently. Sometimes Allah removes the pain itself. Sometimes He leaves the situation but strengthens you so deeply that the pain loses its control over you. Both are forms of relief, both are mercy. And both come in the time Allah knows is best. If you are still in pain, do not assume you are forgotten. Waiting does not mean neglect. Delay does not mean rejection. It often means that something important is still being formed within you. Something that will protect you later. Something that will allow you to handle blessings without losing balance. Hold on. Not because it is easy, but because this is not permanent. The pain you feel now will one day be a memory, but the wisdom, patience, and strength you are gaining will stay with you for the rest of your life. And that is why this season, as heavy as it feels, will not be wasted. Pain passes, strength remains, and relief, when it comes, will find a heart that is ready to receive it. Your pain is part of a story you will one day thank Allah for. My beloved brothers and sisters, when you are in the middle of pain, it feels like the entire story. The mind becomes so focused on what hurts right now that it forgets something very important. This moment is not the conclusion, it is a chapter. And chapters are never meant to stand alone. They only make sense when the story is complete. One of the reasons pain feels so overwhelming is because we try to understand it while standing inside it. We judge the journey while still walking through the storm. But wisdom often arrives later, when the rain has passed and the heart is no longer drowning in emotion. Only then do you see the road clearly. Only then do you understand why certain turns were taken, why certain doors were closed, and why certain moments had to unfold exactly as they did. There will come a time, my brothers and sisters, when you will look back at this season with a different heart, not because the pain was small, but because you became bigger. The same situation that once brought you to your knees will one day remind you of your resilience. The same hardship that once made you cry will one day make you grateful that you survived, learned, and grew. Pain becomes meaningful when you realize it shaped the person you are becoming. It taught you restraint when anger was easier. It taught you patience when giving up felt tempting. It taught you reliance when self-confidence failed. It taught you sincerity when appearances no longer mattered. These are not small lessons. These are life-defining qualities. Sometimes Allah allows pain to stretch longer because the role it plays in your story is not yet finished. The lesson is not complete. The growth is still happening. The heart is still being shaped. And while waiting is difficult, interruption would have been harmful. Ending the process too early would leave the heart unprepared for what comes next. Many people ask, why me during hardship? But a better question, one that brings peace, is, what is this preparing me for? Pain often precedes responsibility. It comes before elevation. It comes before deeper understanding. You are not being delayed. You are being trained. Your future self will carry wisdom that your past self could not have handled, and that wisdom is being built right now, quietly, through struggle. You may not feel stronger yet, you may not feel wiser yet. Growth does not always announce itself. Sometimes it happens beneath the surface, unseen, until one day you realize you are no longer the same person. Pain also reshapes how you see others. It teaches mercy instead of judgment. It teaches patience instead of harshness. You become gentler with people because you know how heavy life can feel behind a smile. This softness is not weakness. It is maturity. And my brothers and sisters, there is something very important you must remember. Allah does not waste pain. He does not allow tears to fall without meaning. He does not let hearts break without intention. Even the moments you think were pointless, even the nights you cried without words, even the days you felt lost and empty, all of it is recorded, seen and valued. One day, when Allah grants you clarity, you will realize that certain blessings would have destroyed you if you received them earlier. Certain doors would have led you away from peace. Certain relationships would have drained you of yourself. And you will understand that pain was not an enemy, it was a guide. You will also realize that strength is not loud. It is quiet endurance. It is continuing even when motivation disappears. It is choosing dignity when bitterness feels justified. It is trusting when understanding is absent. And you have already done that more times than you realize. If you are still standing today, even with a tired heart, that itself is proof that you were not meant to be broken by this. You were meant to be shaped by it. The fact that you are still trying, still hoping, still listening to reminders like this means your story is still unfolding. Do not rush yourself to heal. Do not pressure your heart to move faster than it can. Healing is not linear. Faith grows in waves. Strength develops in layers. Be gentle with yourself during this process. Allah is gentle with you. There will come a day when peace enters your life in a way that feels natural, not forced. When you will smile without effort. When the memories that once hurt will no longer control you. And when that day comes, you will understand that this painful chapter was necessary not to punish you, but to prepare you. Until then, hold on. Not because it is easy, but because your story is not finished. And the chapter you are in right now, as heavy as it feels, is leading somewhere meaningful. Allah never brings pain without purpose. And one day, when the full story is revealed, you will see that even this pain had a place in your becoming. My beloved brothers and sisters, if there is one thing I want you to take with you today, it is this. Your pain was never meaningless. It did not arrive to break you, delay you, or discard you. It came with a role, a lesson, and a purpose tied to who you are becoming. Even when you did not understand it, even when it hurt deeply, even when you felt alone. Do not measure your life only by what you lost. Measure it by what you learned, how you grew, and how your heart changed. You are not the same person you were before this hardship, and that is not a weakness. That is evidence of growth. If you are still waiting for clarity, be patient with yourself. If you are still healing, be gentle with your heart. And if you are still in pain, know that this chapter is not the end of your story. Allah is still writing, still shaping, still guiding, even when you cannot see it. Hold on to trust. Hold on to hope, and remember, nothing you went through was wasted. One day this pain will make sense. Until then, keep walking forward with faith. Oh Allah, you know our hearts better than we know ourselves. You see the pain we hide, the tears we shed in silence, and the strength we struggle to hold on to. We ask you to grant relief to every heart that is hurting, and peace to every soul that feels heavy. Oh Allah, give us patience that does not break, faith that does not weaken, and trust that does not fade, even when answers are delayed. Replace our fear with calm, our confusion with clarity, and our hardship with wisdom. O Allah, heal what is wounded within us, strengthen what feels weak, and guide us through every test with mercy. If this pain is meant to teach us, allow us to learn. If it is meant to purify us, allow us to grow. And if it is meant to prepare us, allow us to be ready. Grant us hearts that rely on you completely, minds that trust your timing, and souls that find peace in your plan. And when relief comes, let us recognize it as mercy and remain grateful, humble, and strong. Amen.